Hello, guys. Today we are going to discuss a topic that feels as gentle as a warm breeze drifting through an open window at night. A story about how people long ago learned to heal the body without noise, without rushing, and without fear. This is the quiet world of ancient medicine, where healing was not something shouted or forced, but something whispered softly, like a lullaby to the human body. So as you listen, imagine yourself stepping back in time. The modern world begins to fade away. The glowing screens, the beeping machines, the hurried footsteps of crowded hospitals all slowly dissolve. In their place, you find yourself standing beneath a wide and peaceful sky, in a world where healing was guided by the rhythm of nature, by careful observation, and by deep respect for the body's own wisdom. Long before doctors wore white coats, long before syringes and pills, healing was something deeply personal. It happened in quiet rooms lit by oil lamps. It happened in forest clearings where leaves whispered overhead. It happened beside gentle fires where stories were told and herbs were prepared with loving care. In these ancient times, sickness was not an enemy to be attacked. It was a message, a soft signal from the body asking for balance. And this idea of balance is where our story truly begins. The earliest healers were not surgeons or scientists, they were listeners. They were watchers of the sky, of animals, of seasons, and of the subtle changes in the human face and breath. In small villages scattered across deserts, forests, and river valleys, there were people known as shamans, herbalists, midwives, and wise elders. They did not rush to treat a wound or an illness. Instead, they would sit quietly with the person who was suffering. They would observe the color of their skin, the rhythm of their breathing, the warmth of their hands, and the depth of their eyes. These healers believed that the body spoke in whispers. A fever was not just heat, it was a fire meant to burn something away. A cough was not just noise, it was a wind meant to clear something out. Even pain was seen not as an enemy, but as a guide pointing to where attention was needed. In those early days, medicine was not about stopping symptoms. It was about understanding stories. Every illness had a story behind it. A story of what the person had eaten, where they had walked, what they had feared, what they had dreamed, and what they had lost. Healing meant gently listening to that story and helping it return to harmony. In the quiet of ancient nights, when stars glowed softly above small villages, healers would gather plants and roots by moonlight. They believed that plants carried their own kind of wisdom. Leaves that grew in the shade were thought to be cooling and calming. Roots that dug deep into the earth were believed to bring strength and grounding. Flowers that opened to the sun were thought to lift the spirit. Willow bark was used to soothe pain and fever, long before anyone knew it contained the same natural chemicals that would later become aspirin. Chamomile was brewed into warm teas to calm the stomach and the mind. Lavender was burned or steeped to invite sleep and peace. Garlic was eaten to fight infection, and honey was applied to wounds to help them heal gently and cleanly. Every remedy was prepared slowly. There was no factory, no loud grinding machines. Herbs were crushed with stone and wood, mixed with warm water or oils, and offered with quiet intention. Even the act of preparing medicine was part of the healing. The soft sound of grinding leaves, the slow stirring of warm liquid, the careful wrapping of bandages, all of it created a sense of calm and safety. And safety, the ancient healers believed, was one of the most powerful medicines of all. When a person feels safe, their body relaxes, their breath slows, their muscles soften. In that gentle state, the body begins to repair itself. Long before modern science discovered the nervous system and stress hormones, ancient people understood that fear made illness worse and calm made healing possible. In ancient Egypt, this understanding took on a sacred form. Egyptian healers worked in temples dedicated to healing gods. These temples were quiet, cool, and filled with soft light from oil lamps. Patients would lie on stone beds, surrounded by gentle incense and murmured prayers. Healing was not rushed. It was believed that the gods themselves moved slowly and carefully through the body, restoring balance. Egyptian medicine combined herbs, massage, and spiritual care. Honey was used to clean wounds, oils were used to soothe muscles, copper was used to fight infection. But just as important as these tools was the environment. Healing rooms were designed to be peaceful. Voices were kept low, movements were slow. Even the doctors spoke softly as if they were afraid to disturb the fragile process of recovery. The same was true in ancient Greece. Hippocrates, one of the most famous physicians of the ancient world, believed that the body healed itself when given the right conditions. He taught that illness came from imbalances in the body's fluids or humors, and that these imbalances could be corrected through diet, rest, fresh air, and gentle movement. A Greek healing space was not a noisy hospital. It was more like a quiet retreat. Patients were encouraged to walk in sunlight, to bathe in warm water, to eat simple foods, and to sleep deeply. There was no sense of panic. Healing was expected to take time, and time was given freely. In China, ancient healers spoke of energy flowing through the body, called qi. When this energy became blocked or unbalanced, illness appeared. Treatments like acupuncture, herbal medicine, and breathing exercises were used to gently guide energy back into harmony. These treatments were done in peaceful rooms, often with soft music, warm teas, and calm voices. The goal was never to force the body to change, but to invite it back into balance. In India, Ayurveda taught that each person was made of different energies, and that illness came when those energies fell out of harmony. Treatments included herbs, oils, gentle massages, and meditation. Patients were encouraged to rest, to breathe slowly, and to reconnect with their inner stillness. Across the world, from Africa to the Americas, from Asia to Europe, ancient medicine shared this one quiet truth: healing happens best when the body is calm. Even in medieval times, when disease was common and knowledge was limited, healing remained mostly gentle and personal. Monks and herbalists tended gardens filled with healing plants. They dried leaves and flowers, carefully writing down their uses in handwritten books. Sick people were cared for in small rooms, in homes, and in monasteries. A cup of warm broth, a clean bed, and a kind voice were often just as important as any herb. And yet, as centuries passed, something slowly began to change. Medicine became louder, new tools were invented, new theories emerged, the focus shifted from balance to battle. Illness was no longer seen as a message, but as an enemy to be fought. Hospitals grew larger, machines became more common. The soft sounds of grinding herbs were replaced by the sharp sounds of metal and alarms. Modern medicine has saved countless lives, and it is a powerful and beautiful thing. But in the process, much of the quiet wisdom of ancient healing was left behind. Today, we often forget how deeply the body responds to peace. We forget that sleep is one of the strongest medicines we have. We forget that warmth, safety, gentle touch, and quiet can do more than many drugs, but that ancient knowledge is still inside you. As you rest here now listening to this story, your breath slowly deepens, your muscles begin to relax, your heart finds a calmer rhythm, and without you doing anything at all, your body begins to repair itself. Just as it has always done, quietly, patiently, and with remarkable wisdom. This is the legacy of ancient medicine. And as we continue this journey together, we will explore more of these gentle traditions, more of these quiet healers, and more of the ways that human beings long ago learned to heal without noise. This is where our story begins, and from that gentle beginning we drift deeper into the ancient world, where healing was woven into everyday life like a soft thread through cloth. There were no sharp boundaries between medicine and living. To wake with the sun, to drink clean water, to eat simple foods, to walk slowly, to rest when tired, all of this was considered medicine. In many early societies, people believed that the body and the earth were reflections of one another. Just as rivers carried water through valleys, the body carried blood through veins. Just as storms could disturb the land, strong emotions could disturb the heart. And just as nature always found its way back to balance, so too could the human body if given time and peace. Healers would often begin by asking not about symptoms, but about life. They would gently ask when the person last slept well, when they last felt truly safe, when they last laughed, when they last walked in the open air. These questions may seem simple, but they were powerful. They reminded people that healing did not start with medicine, it started with how one lived. In ancient villages, the healer was often also the storyteller. At night, when the fire burned low and families gathered together, stories were told not just for entertainment, but for healing. Stories helped calm the mind, they helped people feel connected, they helped fear slowly melt away. And when fear faded, the body could finally rest. Rest was sacred. To the ancient world, sleep was not wasted time. It was the doorway to repair. While the body slept, it was believed that the spirit wandered, gathering strength and guidance. Dreams were taken seriously. A dream might reveal why someone was ill or what herb might help them heal. Some healers would even ask their patients to sleep in special places such as temples, caves, or quiet gardens. These were called dream sanctuaries. The person would lie down in silence, surrounded by gentle incense and soft light, and allow sleep to come naturally. When they awoke, they would describe their dreams to the healer, who would listen carefully for hidden messages. Often the answer was not a dramatic cure, but a simple change: more rest, more water, less worry, a certain plant, a warm bath, or a few days away from stress. In the forests of Europe, Celtic healers believed that trees themselves were medicine. Oak trees were associated with strength and protection, birch trees with renewal and fresh beginnings, willow trees with pain relief and emotional release. People would sit beneath these trees, touching their bark, breathing in their scent, letting their steady presence calm the nervous system. The idea that nature could heal was not superstition, it was observation. People noticed that when they spent time in green places, their minds felt lighter, their breathing became slower, their pain softened. Today, modern science would call this a calming of the nervous system, but ancient people simply called it harmony. In Africa, traditional healers used rhythm as medicine. Drums were played softly or steadily, helping the heart find a natural pace. Gentle chants were used to bring the mind into focus and peace. Even movement, when slow and rhythmic, was seen as healing. The body was guided back into alignment, not forced. In the Americas, indigenous healers worked with smoke, herbs, and quiet ceremony. Sage, cedar, and sweetgrass were burned not just to cleanse the air, but to create a feeling of safety. When people feel safe, their muscles relax. When muscles relax, blood flows better. When blood flows better, healing becomes easier. Every culture discovered this truth in its own way. The ancient Japanese practice of forest bathing, simply walking slowly among trees, was believed to restore the spirit. In Tibet, monks used slow breathing and meditation to calm the mind and body. In Persia, gardens were designed with flowing water and shade to soothe the senses and reduce suffering. All of these traditions shared a gentle belief: healing was something that happened best in quiet. Noise was seen as disruptive. Loud sounds, harsh light, and chaos were thought to disturb the body's delicate balance, so healing spaces were kept soft and peaceful. Light was warm and dim. Voices were low, even footsteps were slow. It was understood that the body was always trying to heal itself. The role of the healer was not to command it, but to create the conditions in which healing could happen. This is something we are slowly rediscovering today. We now know that stress releases chemicals in the body that slow down repair. We know that fear tightens muscles and restricts blood flow. We know that sleep is when most healing takes place. We know that calm breathing sends signals of safety to the brain, but the ancient world knew this in a different way. They felt it, they saw it, they lived it. Imagine someone in an ancient village who had fallen ill. They would not be isolated by cold machines. They would be surrounded by family. They would be given warm soup, clean water, and a comfortable place to rest. Someone might sit with them, quietly holding their hand. A healer might bring herbs or oils, but just as importantly, they would bring reassurance. Into that soft and timeless world of ancient medicine where every breath, every leaf, and every moment of stillness carried meaning. In this quiet world, people did not wake to alarms, they woke to light. The slow rise of the sun told the body when it was time to move. Birds and wind replaced clocks, and because of this, the human nervous system stayed in gentle harmony with the rhythm of the earth. Stress was not constant. It came and went like weather, not like a storm that never ends. Healers believed that many illnesses came not from outside, but from being out of rhythm. When a person stopped sleeping with the night, stopped resting when tired, or stopped listening to their body's quiet signals, illness slowly took root. Healing then was about returning to rhythm. In ancient Mesopotamia, one of the world's first great civilizations, healers were known as Asu and Ashipu. The Asu worked with herbs, oils, and gentle physical treatments. The Ashipu worked with words, prayers, and calming rituals. Together, they treated both the body and the mind, understanding that the two were never separate. If someone had a fever, the Asu might prepare a cooling herbal drink, while the Ashipu spoke softly to ease the person's fear. This was not superstition, it was emotional medicine. When fear fades, the body stops releasing stress hormones and healing begins to flow more freely. Even something as simple as touch was used with great care. Ancient healers knew that a calm, steady hand on the shoulder or the forehead could bring comfort deeper than words. Touch reminded the body that it was not alone. It reminded the heart that it was safe. In the ancient world, loneliness was considered dangerous. People healed together. In small villages, when someone fell ill, neighbors would bring food, blankets, and warmth. Someone would sit with the sick person, sometimes for hours, saying nothing at all. Just being present was part of the medicine. Today we might call this emotional support. Back then it was simply called care. The body responds powerfully to care. When someone feels cared for, their breathing slows, their muscles loosen, their immune system becomes more active. Ancient people did not know these scientific terms, but they saw the results. Those who were surrounded by kindness often recovered faster. In ancient Rome, public bathhouses were considered a form of medicine. Warm water relaxed muscles, eased pain, and calmed the mind. Steam opened the lungs and cleared the skin. Quiet rooms were provided for resting afterward. These bathhouses were not loud or chaotic. They were designed for slow movement and peaceful conversation. People would soak, then rest, then soak again. They would drink water or light teas. They would speak softly. All of this created an environment where healing could happen naturally. In Greece, healing temples dedicated to the god Asclepius were built in places of natural beauty. Hillsides, forests, and flowing springs were chosen for their calming effect. Patients would travel long distances just to sleep in these temples. They believed that the gentle surroundings themselves were part of the cure, and often they were right. Nature has always been one of humanity's greatest healers. The sound of water, the movement of leaves, the warmth of sunlight, the scent of earth, all of these signals tell the nervous system that it is safe. When the nervous system feels safe, the body enters a state where repair becomes possible. Ancient healers spent much of their time outside. They gathered herbs in fields and forests. They learned the seasons. They watched animals. They noticed which plants animals ate when they were sick and which places animals went to when they needed rest. Animals were their teachers. A wounded animal would hide in a quiet place. A sick animal would sleep more. An exhausted animal would stop moving until strength returned. Humans, too, learned to respect these instincts. Rest was not weakness, it was wisdom. In ancient China, doctors taught that the body was governed by gentle forces that flowed like rivers. When these forces became blocked, illness appeared. Treatments were designed to unblock and soften, not to force. Even acupuncture, which uses needles, was done slowly and carefully, often with the patient in a deeply relaxed state. Herbal teas were sipped slowly. Breathing was guided. Silence was encouraged. In ancient India, healing was a daily practice, not an emergency response. People were taught how to live in ways that prevented illness. They were taught when to eat, when to sleep, how to breathe, how to move, and how to calm the mind. Yoga was not exercise as we know it today. It was a gentle way of keeping the body balanced and relaxed. Meditation was medicine. Stillness was medicine. When the mind is quiet, the body follows. Even in places where illness could be deadly, like during plagues or harsh winters, ancient healers still focused on calm. Panic was believed to weaken the body. Fear was thought to open the door to sickness, so healers became anchors of peace. They spoke slowly, they moved carefully, they kept their eyes soft and their voices low. This may seem simple, but it was powerful. Imagine lying in a small stone room centuries ago, ill and weak. The air is cool, a candle flickers softly. A healer sits beside you, crushing herbs in a wooden bowl. The sound is gentle and rhythmic. You can smell warm tea. Someone covers you with a blanket. No one rushes. No one shouts. No one brings fear into the room. In this world, even the smallest details were treated with care. Water was not just something to drink. It was a medicine. Ancient healers believed that flowing water carried away sickness, while still water held energy. People bathed in rivers, washed wounds with clean streams, and drank warm water in the morning to gently wake the body. They noticed that those who lived near fresh water often healed more quickly, and so springs and wells were considered sacred. Food, too, was medicine. In ancient cultures, what a person ate was just as important as any herb or treatment. Heavy foods were avoided when someone was ill. Light soups, broths, grains, and fruits were given instead, allowing the body to conserve energy for healing. Spices like ginger and turmeric were used to warm the body and reduce pain. Bitter plants were used to cleanse. Sweet honey was used to soothe. The act of eating was slow. People sat quietly. They chewed carefully. They listened to their bodies. There was no rush, because rushing was believed to disturb digestion and weaken the body's ability to absorb nourishment. In many ancient traditions, breath was considered the bridge between the body and the spirit. Slow, deep breathing was taught as a way to calm pain, reduce fear, and restore balance. In India, slow breathing was practiced to quiet the mind. In China, breathing exercises were used to move energy. In Egypt and Greece, calm breathing was believed to bring life force into the body. When someone was in pain, they were guided to breathe slowly and deeply. This simple act often eased suffering more than any medicine. Even today, we know that slow breathing reduces stress hormones and relaxes muscles. But long ago, this knowledge came from observation and gentle wisdom. Sleep was perhaps the greatest medicine of all. Ancient healers knew that when a person slept deeply, the body repaired itself. wounds closed, inflammation softened. The mind processed fear and worry. That is why healing spaces were designed for rest. Soft bedding, warm blankets, and quiet surroundings were considered essential. People were encouraged to sleep as much as their bodies wanted. There was no shame in resting for days if needed. Recovery was not rushed. The body was trusted to know how long it needed. In ancient Persia, healing gardens were planted with fragrant flowers and flowing water. Patients would walk slowly among the plants, breathing in their scent and listening to the gentle sounds of fountains. These gardens were believed to soothe the soul, and in soothing the soul, they soothed the body. In ancient Japan, tea was used not just for energy, but for calm. The tea ceremony itself was a kind of meditation. Every movement was slow, every sound was soft. Drinking tea became a moment of stillness, allowing the mind and body to settle. In many cultures, music was also used as medicine. Soft flutes, gentle drums, and low singing were believed to guide the body back into harmony. Loud or harsh sounds were avoided in healing spaces. The goal was always peace. Healers often used stories as well. They would tell quiet, comforting tales to distract the mind from pain and fear. These stories created a sense of safety, allowing the body to relax. A relaxed body heals more easily. Even light was carefully considered. Bright light was thought to be disturbing. Healing rooms were lit by candles, oil lamps, or filtered sunlight. This gentle lighting reduced strain on the eyes and calmed the mind. In ancient times, people did not separate mental and physical illness. Sadness, fear, and grief were believed to weaken the body. That is why emotional comfort was part of treatment. People were allowed to cry, they were allowed to speak, they were allowed to be heard. Grief was not hidden, it was gently released. Ancient healers also believed that forgiveness and peace of mind were powerful medicines. Holding anger or regret was thought to trap illness in the body. Letting go allowed healing to flow. All of these practices worked together. Herbs, water, food, sleep, breath, touch, sound, and silence were all part of one gentle system. No single remedy was seen as more important than the whole. Healing was not something that happened to a person, it was something that happened with them. As centuries passed, much of this quiet knowledge faded, replaced by louder, faster methods. But the ancient truth remains inside every human being. The body still longs for rest. The mind still seeks peace. The spirit still responds to kindness. And in this timeless world of ancient medicine, healing was never about force. It was always about listening, about slowing down, and about allowing the body to remember how to make itself whole once again. In ancient times, this remembering was not something rare. It was part of daily life. Children grew up watching elders prepare herbs, listening to stories about healing plants, and learning how to care for one another when sickness appeared. Healing was not hidden behind closed doors. It was shared openly, passed down like a gentle song from one generation to the next. There were no long lists of complicated instructions. There were simple principles: keep the body warm, keep the mind calm, keep the heart light, and let nature do the rest. In the quiet corners of villages, healers stored bundles of dried leaves, roots, and flowers. Each one had a story. Some were for fever, some for pain, some for sleep, and some for sadness. They were labeled not with scientific names, but with memories of how they had helped someone long ago. A leaf that once eased a child's cough, a root that once saved a traveler from weakness, a flower that once brought peace to a grieving mother. This personal connection to medicine made it feel alive. It was not something distant, it was something familiar. In ancient Scandinavia, healers used warm stones placed gently on the body to ease muscle pain and calm the nervous system. The warmth traveled slowly into the skin, relaxing tight places and inviting blood to flow. This simple act brought comfort and relief, often enough to allow the body to continue healing on its own. In the deserts of the Middle East, healers used cool cloths and shade to treat fever and exhaustion. They understood that the body, like the land, needed balance. Too much heat caused harm. Too much cold did the same. So healing meant gently guiding the body back to its natural temperature. In the mountains of South America, ancient healers used coca leaves, not as a stimulant, but as a gentle support for breathing and energy. They were chewed slowly in quiet moments, often during rest. The goal was not excitement, but balance. Across the oceans, in Polynesian cultures, ocean water was used to cleanse wounds and soothe inflammation. The rhythm of waves and the scent of salt were believed to calm the spirit as well as the body. All of these practices were guided by one simple observation: the body knows how to heal. The role of the healer was to remove obstacles, to reduce fear, to provide nourishment, to offer rest. Fear was considered one of the greatest obstacles of all. When a person was afraid, their muscles tightened, their breathing became shallow, their heart raced. Ancient people saw this clearly. They noticed that those who panicked often worsened, while those who remained calm often recovered. So healers became masters of calm. They spoke in low voices, they moved slowly. They made sure the sick person was never alone. Even when no medicine was given, this calm presence itself was powerful. In ancient Tibet, healers believed that illness came from disturbances in the mind as much as the body. They taught meditation and gentle chanting to quiet thoughts and bring peace. When the mind softened, the body followed. In the Mediterranean world, olive oil was used to massage aching limbs and soothe dry skin. The act of massage was not rushed. It was slow and rhythmic, allowing the body to relax deeply. Touch, when given with care, was considered a healing force. In Africa, healing ceremonies often involved gentle dancing and swaying. These movements were not exhausting. They were slow and flowing, helping to release tension and bring the body back into balance. In Native American cultures, sweat lodges were used to cleanse both body and spirit. The warmth opened the pores, allowing toxins to leave, while the quiet darkness encouraged deep breathing and reflection. Each culture discovered in its own way that healing was not something to be forced, it was something to be invited. The natural world was full of teachers. Healers watched how animals healed themselves. A wounded animal would lick its wounds, rest in a quiet place, and wait. It did not panic. It did not push itself. Humans learned from this. They learned that stillness was not weakness. It was wisdom. Plants also taught them. Some plants closed their leaves at night, others followed the sun. These movements reminded people that everything has its own rhythm. The body was no different. In ancient times, illness was often seen as a time of reflection. When someone became sick, they were encouraged to think about their life. Had they been working too hard? Had they been holding too much worry? Had they forgotten to rest? Healing was not just about the body. It was about the whole person. This gentle approach allowed people to recover not only from physical illness, but from emotional pain as well. Grief, loss, and fear were treated with the same care as wounds and fevers. People were allowed to speak, to cry, to sit in silence. Silence itself was medicine. In a world without constant noise, silence was easy to find. At night there were no engines, no televisions, no glowing screens. Only the sound of wind, insects, and distant animals. This natural quiet allowed the mind to rest deeply. Deep rest allowed the body to heal. Modern life has forgotten much of this, but the body still remembers. Even now, when you close your eyes, slow your breathing, and allow yourself to relax, your body enters a healing state. Your heart slows, your blood pressure drops, your immune system becomes more active. This is not new. It is ancient. This stillness was not empty. It was full of quiet life. In ancient times, people understood that when the world becomes quiet, the body begins to speak. Small aches, gentle tensions, subtle feelings would rise to awareness. These were not ignored, they were listened to. Healers taught that pain was not an enemy, it was a signal, a message from the body asking for attention, for rest, or for change. When pain was met with patience instead of fear, it often softened on its own. Ancient Greece, physicians would sometimes sit with a patient for a long time before offering any treatment. They would observe the way the person breathed, the way their chest rose and fell, the way their eyes moved, and the way their hands rested. This quiet observation allowed them to understand not just the illness but the person. Healing was always personal. In the far north, among the ancient Sami people, healers used soft singing called joik. This was not music meant for performance, it was meant to soothe. Each joik was unique to a person or place. When someone was sick, their joik would be sung quietly, reminding their body of who they were, bringing comfort and familiarity. In Australia, Aboriginal healers believed that sickness could come when a person felt disconnected from the land. Healing involved gentle walks on sacred ground, listening to the earth and reconnecting with nature's rhythm. This connection brought calm to the mind and strength to the body. In ancient Egypt, sleep itself was considered a doorway to healing. People believed that while sleeping, the soul traveled and could receive guidance from higher forces. That is why sick people were encouraged to sleep in temples. The quiet, sacred atmosphere helped them rest deeply, allowing their bodies to restore themselves. These healing temples were filled with soft light and gentle scents. Priests and healers walked quietly. There was no loud talking. Everything was designed to make the patient feel safe and protected. Safety is one of the greatest medicines. When a person feels safe, their body leaves a state of alert and enters a state of repair. Muscles relax, digestion improves, the immune system becomes stronger. Ancient people may not have known the science behind this, but they understood the effect. In medieval Europe, monasteries often served as places of healing. Monks grew herbs, prepared remedies, and cared for the sick. These monasteries were peaceful places, filled with quiet prayer and gentle routine. Patients were encouraged to rest, to eat simple food, and to avoid stress. The routine itself was healing. Waking, eating, resting, and sleeping at the same times each day helped the body regain balance. In the ancient Middle East, healers used rose water to calm the mind and soothe the skin. The scent of roses was believed to lift sadness and bring peace. Fragrance was another form of medicine, working gently on the senses. Smell is deeply connected to emotion. Ancient people noticed that pleasant scents could change how a person felt. A calm mind made healing easier. In China, doctors taught that emotions could cause illness. Too much worry could harm the stomach. Too much anger could harm the liver. Too much fear could weaken the kidneys. Healing therefore involved emotional balance as much as physical treatment. Patients were encouraged to express feelings, to breathe deeply, and to find calm. In India, chanting was used to quiet the mind and steady the breath. The gentle vibration of sound was believed to bring harmony to the body. Chanting was not loud, it was soft and rhythmic like a lullaby. Across the world, ancient cultures discovered that the senses were gateways to healing. Soft sounds, gentle light, pleasant scents, and comforting touch all worked together to bring the body into a state where it could heal itself. The body is always trying to return to balance. Ancient medicine simply helped it do so. In times of illness, people were not told to push through, they were told to rest. They were not told to ignore pain, they were told to listen to it. They were not told to be strong, they were told to be gentle. Gentleness is powerful. When the body is treated gently, it does not resist, it relaxes. And in that relaxed state, healing flows naturally. Modern life often teaches us to ignore the body, to work through pain, to stay busy, to avoid rest. But ancient wisdom reminds us that rest is not laziness, it is repair. Even now, as you listen to these words, your body may be responding, your breathing may be slower, your shoulders may feel softer, your mind may be drifting. That is ancient medicine working quietly. We do not need to return to caves or temples to feel this. We simply need to create moments of calm, moments of stillness, moments of safety. The ancient healers knew this. They lived it. And they passed it down through gentle practice and quiet care. In this rhythm, life unfolded gently. The ancient world was not without hardship, but it was filled with moments of stillness that allowed the body and mind to recover. There were long evenings by firelight, slow walks under the stars, and quiet mornings as the sun rose. These moments were not seen as empty time. They were seen as nourishment. Healers understood that the human body was deeply connected to these rhythms. When someone became ill, it was often because their rhythm had been disturbed. Perhaps they had worked too long without rest. Perhaps they had carried grief for too long without release. Perhaps fear had kept their nervous system in a state of constant tension. Healing was the art of restoring rhythm. In ancient Sumer, one of the earliest known civilizations, healing texts describe treatments that combined herbs, massage, warm baths, and calming words. These treatments were not performed quickly. They were done with intention and care. The healer would often speak quietly while working, guiding the patient into a state of calm. Words were considered medicine. Gentle words could ease fear. Reassuring words could bring hope. Hope itself was believed to strengthen the body. In ancient Egypt, doctors wrote that the heart was the center of both thought and feeling. When the heart was troubled, the body suffered. So healing involved not only treating the physical illness, but also comforting the heart. People were encouraged to talk about their worries. They were given time to grieve. They were reminded that they were not alone. In ancient Greece, the philosopher-physicians believed that the body and soul were deeply connected. A troubled soul could weaken the body, and a sick body could cloud the soul. So healing involved music, poetry, conversation, and time in nature. Patients were often encouraged to listen to gentle music or to have stories read to them. These activities calmed the mind and created a peaceful inner world, allowing the body to rest and repair. In the ancient forests of northern Europe, healers used herbal steam baths. People would sit in wooden rooms filled with warm, fragrant steam from plants like pine, birch, and juniper. The heat relaxed muscles, opened pores, and encouraged sweating, which was believed to release sickness from the body. Afterward, people rested, wrapped in blankets, allowing their bodies to cool slowly. Cooling down was just as important as warming up. Sudden changes were avoided. Everything was done gradually. This gentle approach reflected a deep understanding of the body's need for balance. In the ancient Americas, healers used cacao not as a sweet treat, but as a gentle heart medicine. Cacao was believed to open the heart and ease emotional pain. It was consumed slowly, often in quiet ceremonies that allowed people to reflect and relax. Emotional pain was treated with the same care as physical pain. In Africa, many healing traditions focused on community. When someone was sick, the entire community offered support. Food was shared, songs were sung softly, stories were told. The sick person felt surrounded by care. This sense of belonging reduced fear and strengthened the body's will to heal. Isolation was believed to make illness worse. Togetherness was medicine. In the ancient Middle East, healers used warm oils infused with herbs to soothe aching joints and calm the skin. The act of rubbing oil into the body was slow and comforting. It reminded the person that their body was worthy of care. Self-care was not selfish, it was survival. In ancient China, doctors taught that the seasons affected health. Winter was for rest, spring was for gentle movement, summer was for growth, autumn was for reflection. When people ignored these rhythms, illness appeared. So healing involved changing habits to match the season. In winter, people were encouraged to sleep more. In summer, they were encouraged to stay cool and hydrated. These simple changes supported the body's natural cycles. Ancient medicine was deeply practical. Even in times of serious illness, when death was possible, healers focused on comfort. They did not panic. They did not create fear. They stayed calm, offering warmth, gentle touch, and reassuring presence. This calm allowed the sick person to relax, which often improved their condition. Even when recovery was not possible, the person was able to pass peacefully without fear. Peace was considered the highest form of healing. The ancient world did not always win against disease, but it understood something we often forget: how a person feels during illness matters deeply. Feeling calm, safe, and cared for can change the entire experience of sickness. Today, science has confirmed what ancient healers knew. Stress weakens the immune system, calm strengthens it, sleep repairs the body, gentle movement improves circulation, emotional support reduces pain. The ancient world simply practiced these truths intuitively. As you listen to this story, you may feel yourself becoming more relaxed. Your body is responding to the gentle rhythm of these words. This is the same response ancient healers sought to create. Your nervous system is settling, your breath is slowing, your mind is drifting. This is where healing begins. This harmony was not something people had to search for. It surrounded them in their daily lives. The rising and setting of the sun, the changing of the seasons, the slow growth of plants, and the steady flow of rivers all reminded them that life moved in cycles. The body was part of those cycles, not separate from them. When someone became ill, healers would often look at what cycle had been disrupted. Had the person been awake too much at night? Had they eaten too much of one kind of food? Had they experienced a great loss or shock? These questions guided the healing process. In ancient Persia, physicians wrote that illness could come from too much heat, too much cold, too much dryness, or too much moisture in the body. Treatments were designed to gently restore balance: warm foods for cold conditions, cool drinks for heat, oils for dryness, light foods for heaviness. Nothing was extreme. Everything was measured and gentle. In ancient Rome, military doctors treated wounded soldiers with honey, wine, and clean bandages. But just as important as these were rest and quiet. Soldiers were moved away from the noise of battle. They were placed in calm environments where they could sleep and recover. It was understood that a frightened, exhausted body healed poorly. In ancient Japan, the concept of ma, or quiet space, was deeply respected. Silence between sounds was seen as just as important as sound itself. Healing spaces were designed with this in mind. There were empty spaces, soft light, and gentle airflow. These elements created a feeling of calm that allowed the body to relax. In ancient India, oil massages were used not just for muscles, but for the nervous system. Warm oil poured slowly over the forehead was believed to calm the mind and reduce anxiety. This practice, known as Shirodhara, was deeply soothing and often led to deep sleep. Sleep, once again, was the ultimate medicine. In the ancient world, sleep was not something squeezed into a busy schedule. It was given as much time as needed. People slept when it was dark and rested when they were tired. Naps were common. The body was allowed to recover naturally. When the body rests, it heals. In many ancient cultures, fasting was also used gently to give the body a break from digestion. This was not done harshly or for long periods. It was done slowly, often with warm drinks and rest, allowing the body to redirect energy toward healing. Ancient healers also paid close attention to the mind. Worry was seen as a heavy burden. Too much worry could drain energy and weaken the body. So people were encouraged to talk about their fears, to pray, to meditate, or simply to sit quietly and breathe. In ancient monasteries, silence was practiced daily. This silence allowed the mind to settle and the body to relax. Monks believed that inner peace was essential for health. In indigenous cultures, storytelling was a powerful tool. Stories helped people make sense of their experiences. They brought comfort and connection. A person who felt understood often felt stronger. Connection was medicine. In the ancient world, people lived close to one another. Families were large, communities were tight. When someone was sick, they were rarely alone. This constant presence of others provided emotional warmth that supported healing. Loneliness, on the other hand, was believed to weaken the spirit. Ancient healers would often encourage visitors to come sit with the sick, even if they did nothing but share quiet company. Silence shared between people can be deeply healing. The ancient world also respected the power of intention. Healers believed that what they thought and felt while treating someone mattered. If a healer was calm and focused, their patient would feel that calm. If a healer was anxious, that anxiety could spread. So healers learned to center themselves before working. They would breathe slowly. They would clear their minds. They would approach the patient with gentle presence. This presence was a form of medicine. In ancient traditions, prayer was not always about asking for miracles. Often it was about creating a feeling of hope and peace. Hope can lift the heart. A lifted heart can give the body strength. In ancient Egypt, doctors wrote that a hopeful patient was more likely to recover. They understood that belief and expectation influenced healing. Modern science now confirms this through what we call the placebo effect. But long ago, it was simply known as the power of the mind. The mind and body have always been connected. When the mind is calm, the body follows. When the mind is afraid, the body tightens. Ancient medicine focused on calming the mind first. As we move deeper into this gentle world, it becomes clear that healing was never just about fixing something that was broken. It was about restoring balance, peace, and connection. The ancient healers were not magicians. They were caretakers of rhythm, of quiet, and of trust in the body's natural ability to heal. In the ancient world, this awakening was woven into daily life. There was a natural understanding that the body, when treated with patience and kindness, would find its way back to balance. People did not expect instant results. They trusted the slow, steady process of recovery. Time itself was medicine. In modern life, we often see time as something to fight against. But in ancient healing traditions, time was an ally. A wound needed days to close. A fever needed nights of rest to break. Grief needed seasons to soften. Nothing was rushed. Ancient healers would often tell their patients that healing would come in its own time. This reassurance reduced fear and allowed the person to relax into the process. Relaxation was a key to healing. In ancient China, doctors taught that tension blocked the flow of energy. When muscles were tight and the mind was anxious, the body could not repair itself easily. So treatments focused on relaxation as much as on physical remedies. Gentle stretching, slow breathing, and quiet sitting were all part of the healing plan. In ancient Greece, patients were encouraged to spend time in peaceful surroundings. Healing temples were built near springs, trees, and open sky. Nature was believed to bring the mind back to a state of calm. Even today, people feel better when they are in nature. The ancient world simply lived that truth. In ancient Rome, physicians wrote about the importance of laughter. They believed that joy helped the body recover. When a person laughed, their breath deepened, their muscles loosened, and their mood lifted. This lightness made healing easier. So even in sickness, people were encouraged to find moments of happiness. In many indigenous cultures, healing rituals included gentle humor and storytelling. These moments of connection helped people forget their pain for a while. When the mind was distracted by joy, the body relaxed. In ancient Egypt, music was used to soothe pain. Harps and flutes played soft melodies in healing spaces. The vibrations of sound were believed to bring harmony to the body. Sound can calm the nervous system. Ancient people felt this even if they did not know the science. In the ancient Middle East, physicians believed that beautiful sights could lift the spirit. Healing rooms were decorated with gardens, fountains, and artwork. These gentle visual pleasures helped reduce sadness and anxiety. Beauty was medicine. In ancient India, colors were also used in healing. Soft, warm colors were believed to calm the mind, while bright, harsh colors were avoided in healing spaces. Every detail mattered. In ancient times, even clothing was considered part of healing. Soft fabrics were used for the sick. Tight or rough clothing was avoided. Comfort allowed the body to relax. Relaxation allowed healing. In ancient villages, healers also taught people how to prevent illness. They taught the importance of washing, of clean water, of fresh air, and of simple food. These practices reduced disease and kept the body strong. Prevention was seen as part of medicine. Ancient healers also respected the individuality of each person. They knew that what healed one person might not heal another, so treatments were adjusted to the person's age, temperament, and life. A child was treated differently from an elder. A strong person differently from a weak one. A sad person differently from an angry one. This personal approach made healing more effective. In ancient Africa, healers often asked about dreams. Dreams were believed to reveal hidden worries or imbalances. By understanding a person's dreams, healers could better understand their illness. The inner world mattered. In ancient Tibet, monks believed that compassion was a healing force. When someone was treated with kindness, their suffering felt lighter. This emotional relief helped the body recover. Kindness is medicine. In ancient cultures, people were encouraged to forgive, to let go of anger, and to make peace with others. Holding onto conflict was believed to harm the body. Peace allowed healing to flow. As we move deeper into this story, it becomes clear that ancient medicine was not just about herbs and treatments. It was a way of living, a way of honoring the body, the mind, and the spirit. Healing was not something separate from life. It was life. When the ancient world looked at illness, it did not see only something to remove, it saw something to understand. Every ache, every fever, every weakness was believed to have a story behind it. The healer's task was to listen to that story and help the body find its way back to harmony. This listening was done not only with the ears, but with the heart. Healers paid attention to the way a person spoke, the way their voice sounded, the way their eyes moved, and the way their breath flowed. All of these details revealed what was happening beneath the surface. Healing began with awareness. In ancient Greece, physicians described the body as a system of delicate balances. When those balances were disturbed, illness appeared. Restoring balance required patience and gentle care. In ancient China, doctors spoke of yin and yang, the quiet and the active, the cool and the warm. When these forces were out of harmony, the body suffered. Healing was about bringing them back into balance. In ancient India, healers described doshas, energies that govern the body. When these were out of balance, disease followed. Treatments were designed to restore harmony. Across cultures, the idea was the same. Balance was health. In ancient villages, people lived in a way that supported balance. They worked during the day and rested at night. They ate what was in season. They spent time outside. They were not constantly stimulated. This simple way of life kept the nervous system calm and the body strong. When someone became ill, the community gathered around them. They brought warm food, blankets, and gentle company. This social support reduced fear and loneliness, two powerful forces that can weaken the body. The body heals better when it feels loved. In ancient times, even death was approached gently. When someone was dying, they were not left alone. Family and friends stayed with them, speaking softly and holding their hands. This peaceful environment allowed the person to let go without fear. Peace was seen as the final medicine. Ancient healers also taught that gratitude was healing. Being thankful for small things lifted the spirit. A lifted spirit gave the body strength. In many cultures, people were encouraged to express gratitude even during illness. This did not mean pretending everything was fine. It meant finding moments of light within the darkness. Lightness eases suffering. In ancient Egypt, doctors wrote that the mind's state influenced the outcome of illness. A hopeful patient often did better than a hopeless one, so healers became keepers of hope. Hope is powerful. In ancient Greece, healing temples were designed to inspire awe and beauty. Tall columns, open skies, and flowing water reminded people that they were part of something larger than their illness. This perspective reduced fear. In ancient Japan, gardens were designed to be quiet and simple. These spaces allowed the mind to rest. Rest allowed the body to heal. In ancient Tibet, monks used gentle bells and bowls to create soothing sounds. These vibrations were believed to calm the mind and balance the body. In ancient Africa, drumming was used to bring people into rhythm with one another. This shared rhythm created a sense of unity and calm. Across the world, ancient people discovered that rhythm itself was healing. When the body, the breath, and the heart fell into a steady rhythm, healing followed. Even walking was used as medicine. Slow, mindful walking helped circulation and calmed the mind. Ancient people often took gentle walks in nature as part of recovery. The earth beneath their feet grounded them. Ancient healers also paid attention to posture. How a person held their body reflected how they felt inside. A slumped posture suggested sadness or fatigue. A tense posture suggested fear or anger. Gentle guidance was given to help people relax their bodies. When the body relaxes, the mind often follows. In ancient medicine, there was no separation between physical, emotional, and spiritual health. They were all one. This holistic view allowed people to be treated as whole beings, not just as a collection of symptoms. In this ancient rhythm, people learned to move slowly through their days. Even work was done with a certain calm. Tasks were not rushed. Farmers planted and harvested with the seasons. Artisans crafted tools and pottery with careful hands. These slow, mindful movements kept the body and mind in harmony. When illness appeared, it was seen as a sign to slow down even more. Ancient healers often told their patients to rest not only their bodies but their thoughts. Worry and fear were believed to drain energy from the body. Quiet thinking was seen as a form of medicine. In ancient Greece, philosophers spoke of ataraxia, a state of inner calm. They believed that a calm mind led to a healthy body. People were encouraged to avoid unnecessary stress and to cultivate peace. In ancient China, meditation and breathing were taught to everyone, not just the sick. These practices helped people maintain balance and prevent illness. Prevention was always better than cure. In ancient India, daily routines called dinacharya were designed to keep the body and mind in harmony. These routines included waking with the sun, gentle movement, warm meals, and time for rest. Following these rhythms kept people strong and resilient. In ancient Egypt, people believed that living in harmony with nature kept illness away. They observed the Nile's cycles and aligned their lives with its flow. The ancient world was deeply connected to the natural environment. This connection supported health. In many cultures, healers used water rituals to cleanse not only the body, but the mind. Washing in a river or bath was a way to release tension and worry. The sound and feel of water brought calm. Water is deeply soothing. In ancient Rome, public baths were places of social connection and relaxation. People would soak, talk quietly, and rest. These baths were not hurried. They were places of leisure and healing. In ancient Japan, hot springs were used for relaxation and recovery. The warmth of the water eased pain and allowed muscles to relax deeply. In ancient cultures, heat and cold were used carefully. Warmth was used to relax and open the body. Coolness was used to reduce inflammation and calm the mind. Balance was always the goal. In ancient medicine, even diet was guided by balance. People were encouraged to eat a variety of foods, not too much of any one thing. This variety supported the body's needs. Simple foods were preferred. Heavy, rich foods were avoided during illness. In ancient Tibet, butter tea was used to provide warmth and energy. It was consumed slowly, allowing the body to absorb its nourishment. In ancient Africa, herbal teas were used to calm the stomach and soothe the nerves. Drinking warm liquids was a gentle way to comfort the body. Across the world, people learned that warmth and softness were healing. Soft beds, warm blankets, gentle voices, and kind eyes all helped the body relax. Relaxation allowed healing. Ancient healers also taught people to listen to their bodies. Hunger, thirst, tiredness, and pain were all signals. Ignoring these signals led to illness. Respecting them maintained health. The body is wise. In ancient times, people did not push themselves beyond their limits as often as we do today. They rested when tired, they ate when hungry, they slept when sleepy. This simple respect for the body kept many illnesses away. Even emotions were respected. Sadness, anger, and fear were seen as natural. They were allowed to be felt and expressed. Holding emotions inside was believed to cause sickness. Expression was healing. In ancient cultures, crying was not shameful. It was a release. Laughter was also a release. Both helped the body return to balance. The ancient world was not perfect, but it understood something very important. Healing is not just about fixing what is broken. It is about creating the conditions in which the body can repair itself. These conditions were quiet, gentle, and loving. In this peaceful current, ancient medicine continued to evolve, always guided by the same quiet principles. As cultures grew and changed, their methods of healing adapted, but the heart of their practice remained gentle and respectful of the body's natural intelligence. In ancient Persia, scholars wrote about the importance of moderation. They believed that excess in anything, food, work, emotion, or even joy, could disturb the body's balance. Healing, therefore, was not about dramatic intervention, but about returning to the middle path. Patients were encouraged to eat simply, to sleep deeply, and to keep their minds calm. In ancient Greece, physicians like Hippocrates taught that the body was a self-healing system. He famously said that nature itself was the true physician. The doctor's role was to assist nature, not to overpower it. Treatments focused on supporting the body with rest, clean air, simple food, and gentle care. This idea of assisting rather than controlling was central to ancient medicine. In ancient China, doctors wrote that illness was the result of blocked or imbalanced energy. Instead of fighting the illness, they sought to gently guide the energy back into flow. Acupuncture, herbs, and movement were used not to force change, but to encourage it. In ancient India, Ayurveda taught that health was the natural state of the body. Illness occurred when lifestyle and environment disrupted this natural state. Healing involved adjusting daily habits, calming the mind, and nourishing the body. In ancient Egypt, healing was a sacred act. Doctors were also priests, and medicine was intertwined with spirituality. This did not mean superstition. It meant that healing was treated with reverence. Patients were not just bodies to be fixed, they were souls to be cared for. This sense of reverence created a gentle atmosphere that supported healing. In many indigenous cultures, healing was a communal event. When someone fell ill, the whole community participated in their care. This collective support reduced stress and fear. The sick person felt held by the group. Modern science now knows that social support improves recovery. Ancient people knew this through experience. In ancient Tibet, healers used gentle pressure on specific points of the body to relieve pain and calm the mind. This practice, known today as acupressure, was done slowly and with intention. In ancient Japan, shiatsu massage was used to balance the body's energy. It was not painful or forceful. It was designed to relax and restore. Across cultures, touch was recognized as powerful medicine. In ancient Africa, healers often used herbal baths to cleanse the body and spirit. Warm water infused with plants created a soothing experience that allowed people to relax deeply. In ancient Rome, physicians prescribed time in the countryside as treatment for many illnesses. Fresh air, sunlight, and quiet were believed to restore health. In ancient Persia, gardens were designed as healing spaces. Flowing water, shade, and fragrant plants created an environment that calmed the senses. In ancient India, people practiced self-massage with warm oils to keep the body flexible and the mind calm. All of these practices were simple, but they worked because they created the right conditions for the body to heal. Ancient healers also understood the importance of routine. Regular sleep, regular meals, and regular movement kept the body stable. Sudden changes were avoided. Stability is calming. In times of illness, routines became even more gentle. People slept more, they moved less, they ate lighter foods. This allowed the body to focus its energy on healing. In ancient cultures, fasting was sometimes used to give the digestive system a rest. This was done carefully and with guidance. In ancient Greece, doctors observed that many illnesses improved when patients rested and ate simply. They did not need complex treatments. Simplicity was medicine. In ancient China, herbs were chosen not only for their physical effects, but for their energetic qualities. Some herbs were warming, some were cooling, some were calming, some were stimulating. Healers matched these qualities to the patient's needs. This personalized approach made treatments gentle and effective. In ancient India, food was also chosen for its energetic qualities. Certain foods were believed to increase calm, others increased restlessness. People were advised to eat foods that supported peace. Peace was always the goal. In ancient Egypt, doctors kept detailed records of their patients. They observed patterns, they learned from experience. Over time, their knowledge grew. This careful observation was another form of quiet medicine. Ancient healers did not rely on one method alone. They combined many gentle practices to support the body from all sides. Herbs supported the physical body. Rest supported the nervous system. Touch supported emotional well-being. Nature supported the spirit. Together, these created a powerful healing environment. As we continue this journey, it becomes clear that ancient medicine was not primitive or ignorant. It was deeply wise. It understood the body in a holistic way that modern medicine is only now beginning to rediscover. The ancient world knew that healing is not something we do to the body. It is something the body does when we give it the right conditions, and those conditions are quiet, gentle, and full of care. This is the true meaning of healing without noise. In this quiet understanding, ancient healers never separated the human being from the world around them. The air you breathe, the water you drink, the ground beneath your feet, and the people beside you were all considered part of your health. To be healthy was to be in harmony with everything. This harmony was fragile, and when it was disturbed, illness appeared. Ancient people noticed that those who lived close to nature often recovered more easily from sickness. They spent time under open skies, walked barefoot on the earth, and bathed in rivers and springs. These simple experiences grounded the body and calmed the mind. The earth itself was considered a healer. In ancient Greece, physicians often prescribed walks in the countryside. They believed that the natural environment soothed the senses and restored balance. The sound of wind through trees, the sight of hills and water, and the smell of plants all worked together to create a healing atmosphere. In ancient China, doctors spoke of the harmony between heaven, earth, and humanity. When a person aligned with these forces, they were healthy. When they fell out of alignment, they became ill. Healing involved restoring this alignment. In ancient India, people practiced living in rhythm with nature. They rose with the sun, ate when hungry, and rested when tired. These simple habits supported health. In ancient Egypt, the Nile's yearly flooding was seen as a symbol of renewal. Just as the land was refreshed, so too could the body be renewed through rest and nourishment. Across cultures, renewal was central to healing. Ancient healers also understood the power of ritual. Rituals created a sense of order and safety. When someone was ill, rituals marked the beginning of healing. They provided comfort and structure. In ancient Japan, tea ceremonies were performed slowly and mindfully. This created a peaceful state that supported health. Ancient Tibet, prayer flags were hung to send healing intentions into the wind. This symbolic act helped people feel supported and hopeful. Hope is healing. In ancient Africa, community gatherings were held to support the sick. Singing, gentle drumming, and shared meals created a sense of belonging. Belonging strengthens the spirit. Ancient medicine also recognized the importance of forgiveness. Holding on to anger or resentment was believed to harm the body. Letting go allowed energy to flow freely. Forgiveness was a form of medicine. In ancient traditions, people were encouraged to make peace with others and with themselves. This emotional healing often led to physical healing. In ancient Greece, philosophers wrote about the importance of inner harmony. A mind at peace created a healthy body. In ancient China, doctors taught that excessive emotions could disturb the body's balance. Learning to regulate emotions was part of health. In ancient India, meditation was used to calm the mind and reduce suffering. Across cultures, inner peace was seen as a foundation of health. Ancient healers also believed that every person had an inner healer. Their job was to awaken it. This inner healer responded to rest, calm, and gentle care. In ancient Rome, physicians wrote that the body had a natural ability to recover. The doctor's role was to support this ability. In ancient Persia, healers believed that the body was guided by a vital force. When this force flowed freely, health followed. In ancient Egypt, the heart was seen as the center of life and healing. In ancient Tibet, the mind was considered the source of both illness and health. All of these ideas point to the same truth: healing comes from within. Ancient medicine created the conditions for this inner healing to occur. These conditions were simple: quiet, warmth, nourishment, safety, and connection. In a world without constant noise, people naturally experienced these conditions. Modern life often removes them. But the ancient wisdom remains available. When you close your eyes, breathe slowly, and allow yourself to relax, you are practicing ancient medicine. When you rest, when you eat gently, when you walk in nature, when you speak kindly to yourself, you are continuing a tradition thousands of years old. As we move deeper into this story, we remember that healing does not need to be loud or dramatic. It can be soft, slow, and deeply powerful. The ancient world knew this, and it is still true today. In the quiet places of the world, far from crowded cities and constant noise, these ancient truths are still being lived. There are small villages, mountain monasteries, desert communities, and forest settlements where people continue to heal in gentle ways, guided by traditions that have lasted for thousands of years. In these places, illness is not met with panic. It is met with presence. Presence is one of the most powerful forms of medicine. To sit with someone, to breathe with them, to simply be there as they suffer and recover, this creates a feeling of safety that no pill can replace. Ancient healers understood this deeply. In many indigenous cultures, the healer was someone who had learned how to listen. They listened to the body, they listened to the land, they listened to the stories people carried inside them. This listening allowed healing to unfold naturally. In ancient times, people spent much more time in silence. Silence allowed thoughts to slow. It allowed emotions to surface. It allowed the body to relax. Today, silence is rare, but when we find it, we often feel its healing power immediately. In ancient monasteries, monks would sit for hours in quiet meditation. This practice was believed to purify the mind and strengthen the body. Modern research now shows that meditation reduces stress and improves immune function. Ancient wisdom and modern science meet here. In ancient China, slow movement practices like Tai Chi were used to maintain health. These gentle, flowing motions improved circulation and calmed the mind. In ancient India, yoga was practiced not as a workout, but as a way to harmonize the body and mind. In ancient Japan, people practiced forest bathing, simply walking quietly among trees. This reduced stress and improved well-being. All of these practices are based on the same principle: slow, mindful movement supports healing. The ancient world did not glorify exhaustion. Being constantly busy was not admired. Balance was admired. When people became sick, it was often seen as a sign that they had lost balance. Healing was about finding it again. In ancient Persia, doctors advised patients to avoid strong emotions during illness. Anger, fear, and sadness were believed to drain energy. Calm, hope, and gratitude were believed to restore it. In ancient Greece, doctors prescribed time with loved ones. Emotional connection was seen as a healing force. In ancient Egypt, people believed that love and kindness could influence the body. Love is medicine. In ancient Africa, healers used storytelling to help people make sense of their pain. When pain has meaning, it becomes easier to bear. In ancient cultures, people did not hide their suffering, they shared it. Sharing reduced loneliness. Loneliness weakens the body, connection strengthens it. In ancient Tibet, compassion was taught as a healing practice. When people felt compassion for themselves and others, their minds became calmer. A calm mind supports healing. In ancient Rome, philosophers wrote that inner peace was the greatest wealth. A peaceful mind allowed the body to thrive. In ancient China, doctors taught that harmony within led to harmony without. Across the world, ancient medicine was rooted in the same gentle truths. The body wants to heal, the mind wants peace, the heart wants connection. When these needs are met, healing happens naturally. Ancient healers were not fighting disease, they were supporting life. They did not see the body as broken, they saw it as wise. Even when illness was severe, they trusted that the body would do what it could. This trust created a peaceful environment that allowed the best possible outcome. As we continue this journey, we remember that ancient medicine is not something lost. It is something we can return to, one quiet breath at a time. In every moment of stillness, in every gentle act of care, the ancient healing wisdom lives on. In this harmony, the ancient world felt safe enough to slow down. Slowing down was not seen as wasting time. It was seen as giving time back to the body. Every slow breath, every gentle step, every quiet moment was a gift to the nervous system. When the nervous system feels safe, healing begins. Ancient healers did not talk about nerves or hormones, but they knew their effects. They saw how fear made people shake, how grief made people weak, how calm made people stronger, so they shaped their healing practices around creating safety. In ancient villages, healing spaces were often small and simple: a room with soft light, a mat or bed with blankets, a few herbs, a bowl of water. The simplicity itself was soothing. There was nothing overwhelming, nothing demanding. This simplicity helped the mind relax. In ancient Egypt, healing rooms were often decorated with symbols of protection and peace. These symbols reassured the patient that they were being cared for. Reassurance reduced fear. Fear tightens the body, calm opens it. In ancient Greece, patients were encouraged to speak about their worries. Talking about fear was believed to release it. This emotional release made room for healing. In ancient China, doctors taught that stagnant emotions could cause physical blockages. Expressing feelings allowed energy to move freely again. In ancient India, chanting and meditation were used to quiet racing thoughts. A quiet mind allowed the body to rest. Across cultures, mental peace was seen as a foundation of health. Ancient healers also understood the importance of environment. They chose healing locations carefully. Places with fresh air, natural light, and peaceful surroundings were preferred. Even today, hospitals are built with windows and gardens for this reason. Nature is calming. In ancient times, people spent much of their lives outdoors. They breathed clean air, they saw the sky, they felt the ground beneath their feet. This constant contact with nature kept their nervous systems grounded. Grounding reduces stress. In ancient Africa, healers used earth, clay, and plants in their treatments. These natural materials connected the patient to the land. In ancient America, healers used sweat lodges and herbal steams to cleanse and relax the body. The warmth and darkness created a womb-like environment that felt safe. In ancient Japan, hot baths were used to relax muscles and calm the mind. Bathing was a ritual of care. In ancient Rome, baths were social and healing spaces. People talked quietly, soaked, and rested. All of these practices created a sense of peace. Ancient healers also believed that the body responded to intention. When a healer approached with kindness and focus, the patient felt it. This feeling of being cared for supported healing. Intention matters. In ancient Tibet, healers prayed or meditated before treating a patient. This helped them enter a calm state. In ancient Greece, healers often called upon the gods for guidance. This spiritual focus brought them peace. In ancient Africa, healers connected with ancestors. This connection gave them strength. Regardless of belief system, the effect was the same. The healer became calm, and that calm was shared with the patient. Calm is contagious. Ancient medicine also valued the power of routine. Regular meals, regular sleep, and regular movement created stability. Stability reduced stress. In ancient cultures, people followed the rhythm of the sun. They woke with light and slept with darkness. This supported natural sleep cycles. In modern life, we disrupt these cycles, but ancient wisdom reminds us of their importance. Sleep is a healer. During sleep, the body repairs tissues, balances hormones, and strengthens the immune system. Ancient people observed that those who slept well recovered faster, so healing spaces were designed to support sleep. Quiet, darkness, warmth, and comfort were prioritized. In ancient Egypt, patients were often given soothing herbs to help them sleep. In ancient China, calming teas were used. In ancient Europe, warm milk or broths were offered. These gentle aids supported natural rest. Ancient healers also paid attention to posture and breathing. They encouraged patients to lie in comfortable positions and breathe slowly. This relaxed the body. In ancient India, certain breathing techniques were taught to calm anxiety and pain. In ancient China, qigong movements and breathing were used to restore energy. Across cultures, breath was medicine. Slow, deep breathing sends signals of safety to the brain. Ancient people did not know the science, but they felt the effect. When the ancient world slowed down, something gentle and powerful emerged. People became more aware of themselves. They noticed when they were tired. They noticed when they were hungry. They noticed when their hearts felt heavy. This awareness allowed them to respond before illness took root. Modern life often dulls this awareness, but ancient medicine was built upon it. In ancient villages, people would often begin their day quietly. They would stretch, breathe, and prepare simple food. This calm start set the tone for the body. Stress was not carried into the day. In ancient monasteries, silence was a daily practice. This silence allowed the mind to clear and the body to relax. In ancient homes, evenings were spent in low light, telling stories or sitting quietly. This prepared the body for sleep. Sleep, once again, was central to healing. Ancient healers often said that the body does its best work when it is asleep. That is when wounds close, when infections are fought, and when the mind releases stress. They were right. In ancient Egypt, people believed that dreams were messages from the soul. These messages could reveal what the body needed. Healers would ask about dreams to guide treatment. In ancient Greece, dream temples were places where people slept to receive healing visions. In ancient China, dreams were seen as reflections of inner balance. Across cultures, sleep and dreams were respected as healing processes. Ancient healers also understood the power of gentle routine. Regular times for eating, resting, and working created stability. Stability allowed the body to relax. In ancient India, daily rituals included washing, prayer, movement, and rest. These rituals grounded the body and mind. In ancient Japan, tea ceremonies created moments of mindfulness. In ancient Africa, daily songs and dances created rhythm and connection. These rhythms supported health. Ancient medicine also valued cleanliness. Clean water, clean clothing, and clean living spaces reduced illness. But cleanliness was not harsh or sterile. It was gentle and natural. People washed with water and herbs. They aired their homes. They spent time in sunlight. Sunlight was seen as healing. In ancient Greece, doctors prescribed sunbaths for certain conditions. They noticed that sunlight improved mood and health. In ancient Egypt, people worshipped the sun as a source of life. In ancient cultures, light was medicine. Ancient healers also paid attention to the digestive system. They knew that poor digestion led to weakness, so they encouraged simple, easily digestible foods during illness. Broths, porridges, and teas were common. These foods were gentle on the body and allowed energy to be used for healing. In ancient China, soups were used to restore balance. In ancient Europe, herbal broths were common. In ancient Africa, warm stews were offered to the sick. Food was love. Ancient healers also respected the emotional state of the patient. They knew that fear and sadness could slow recovery, so they offered reassurance, stories, and companionship. In ancient times, people were rarely left alone when sick. Being alone increases stress. Being together reduces it. In ancient Tibet, monks would sit with the sick, chanting softly. In ancient Africa, families gathered around the ill. In ancient Greece, friends visited and talked. All of this created a sense of safety. Safety is healing. At the center of all ancient healing traditions was a simple understanding. The body is not broken, it is responsive. It reacts to how it is treated. When it is treated with care, it moves toward health. When it is treated with fear, stress, and neglect, it moves toward illness. Ancient healers did not blame the body for being sick. They saw sickness as a natural response to imbalance. This view changed everything. Instead of asking, "What is wrong with you?" they asked, "What has happened to you?" And what do you need? These gentle questions allowed healing to begin. In ancient Greece, physicians wrote that disease was not punishment, it was a process. The body was trying to correct itself. Fever, for example, was seen as the body burning away what did not belong. Coughing was the body clearing the lungs. Pain was the body drawing attention to a problem. These processes were supported, not suppressed. In ancient China, doctors believed that symptoms were signs of energy moving. When energy flowed too fast or too slow, illness appeared. Treatments were designed to guide this flow gently. In ancient India, Ayurveda taught that disease was a message from the body. By listening to this message, one could restore health. Across cultures, illness was seen as communication. This is a very different way of thinking from modern medicine, which often tries to silence symptoms. Ancient medicine listened to them. Listening requires quiet. In ancient healing spaces, there was little noise. People spoke softly, tools were simple, there were no machines. This quiet allowed both patient and healer to tune in to the body's signals. In ancient Egypt, doctors would feel the pulse, listen to breathing, and observe the skin. These gentle observations guided treatment. In ancient Greece, doctors used similar methods. They watched, listened, and waited. Waiting was part of healing. Ancient healers were not in a hurry. They trusted that the body would reveal what it needed. In ancient Tibet, healers took time to understand a person's life before treating them. They asked about diet, sleep, work, and emotions. This holistic approach allowed for more effective healing. In ancient Africa, healers listened to stories. A person's story revealed their suffering. Understanding that story was part of the cure. In ancient Japan, healers used touch to sense tension and imbalance. This tactile listening guided treatment. Across cultures, listening was central. Ancient medicine was not about doing more, it was about doing less, but doing it with intention. In times of illness, people were encouraged to withdraw from daily stress. They rested, they stayed in bed, they were cared for by others. This allowed the body to focus on healing. In modern life, people often try to keep working when sick. Ancient wisdom would say this delays recovery. Rest is not a luxury, it is a necessity. In ancient cultures, there was no guilt associated with resting. Rest was respected. In ancient Rome, doctors wrote that patients should avoid all unnecessary activity during illness. In ancient China, doctors advised bed rest and quiet. In ancient India, patients were encouraged to conserve energy. All of these traditions recognized that energy is limited. Healing requires energy. Rest provides it. Ancient healers also understood that stress uses up this energy. Worry, fear, and anger drain the body, so emotional support was part of treatment. In ancient Egypt, people prayed and spoke words of comfort. In ancient Greece, philosophers visited the sick. In ancient Africa, community members gathered. In ancient Tibet, monks chanted. All of this created a sense of peace. Peace allows the body to shift into a state of repair. Modern science calls this the parasympathetic nervous system. Ancient people simply called it calm. Calm is healing. This is the heart of ancient medicine. It is the understanding that healing is not something we force, but something we allow. It is the knowledge that the body is not weak or broken, but endlessly intelligent and always working toward balance. It is the quiet truth that when fear is removed and safety is restored, the body remembers how to heal. In the ancient world, people lived closer to this truth. They did not drown it out with constant noise. They did not ignore the body's signals. They did not rush past pain and exhaustion. They listened. And in listening, they healed. Imagine once more those ancient healing spaces. A small room lit by the soft glow of a flame. A healer sitting nearby, not rushing, not distracted. A bowl of warm water, a few simple herbs, a quiet presence. Outside, the wind moves gently through trees. Somewhere a bird calls, somewhere water flows. Everything is slow, everything is safe. This is where healing begins. In such places, the body feels allowed to rest. Muscles soften, breath deepens, the heart slows. Blood flows more easily. The immune system awakens. The mind lets go of fear. This is not magic. It is biology responding to peace. Ancient healers did not need machines to see this. They saw it with their own eyes. A tense patient relaxed, a frightened person calmed, a fever broke after a deep sleep, a wound healed when the body was warm and still. They learned that healing did not come from fighting the body, but from supporting it. They learned that gentleness was more powerful than force. They learned that silence was more powerful than noise. They learned that care was more powerful than control. These lessons were passed down through generations. They lived in herbal remedies, in quiet rituals, in loving touch, and in the simple act of being present with someone who was suffering. Even today, beneath all the modern technology, these truths still apply. Your body still responds to calm. Your mind still softens in silence. Your heart still finds strength in kindness. When you rest, when you breathe slowly, when you feel safe, you are practicing ancient medicine. You do not need to be in a temple or a forest or a healing garden to experience this. You can feel it right now, in the gentle rise and fall of your breath, in the way your body slowly relaxes when you allow it to, in the quiet that grows when you let go of tension. This is healing without noise. It is not loud. It does not announce itself. It works quietly, patiently, faithfully, just as it always has. The ancient world trusted this process, and so can you. As you drift toward rest, as your mind grows softer and your body grows still, remember that you are not doing anything wrong by slowing down. You are not falling behind. You are returning to a rhythm that is older than history itself, a rhythm that knows how to heal. Thank you for spending this time here in this quiet space of ancient wisdom and gentle restoration. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient medicine and peaceful history, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more calming stories like this. Leave a comment below and tell us where in the world you're watching from. And as always, take a slow breath, relax your body, and let yourself drift gently into rest.